The receipt was folded into a tight square, wedged between 2 pages of her planner, the soft leather one she carried everywhere but never let me touch. I wasn't snooping. I was looking for the password she wrote down for our health insurance account. But there it was, crisp, smelled new. $3,200, boutique name in gold foil print at the top. I tilted it toward the light, not her handwriting, too sharp, too confident. For your launch, R. It felt like someone breathing down my neck. She came in from yoga, sweat drying on her collarbone. Her mat hit the wall, keys in the bowl. I held up the receipt. This yours? She smiled too wide, too fast. Oh, that, yeah. I was helping a friend with his branding. He's opening a store, needed some advice on visuals. She kissed my cheek. You know I'm good with that stuff. She smelled like mint gum and sandalwood, not the perfume she used to wear. I nodded, but something small twisted inside me. She'd never mentioned this friend, never brought up a store, and $3,200 for branding. That wasn't advice, that was ownership. A week later, $40K moved out of our investment account. I asked her about it. Relax, she said, spinning her spoon in her yogurt. I shifted it into a short-term position. My guy says crypto's gonna spike next quarter. I wanted to act fast. Her guy. She stopped saying our planner, our accounts. Now it was my call, my move. That was the first night I didn't sleep. She used to fall asleep tucked into my arm. Now she curled toward the wall. One night I watched her brush her hair in the mirror. She paused, then changed her part from the left to the right. That may sound small, but it was his style, whoever he was. The boutique showed up on her calendar 3 times, marked client visit. So I drove there, parked across the street. She stepped out of a car I didn't recognize, sleek, black, tinted, not our Corolla. She wore heels, the nude suede ones I hadn't seen before. A man came out to greet her. He touched her waist casually, like they'd done it 100 times. She laughed, the same laugh she used to give me when I said something dry, something only she found funny. They kissed, not long, just enough. Then she unlocked the door to the boutique. She had the keys. I sat there with my engine off and my hands clenched. A bus rumbled past, horns, someone yelled from a balcony. But I didn't hear any of it. I was stuck on that laugh. It didn't belong to me anymore. She came home 3 hours later, kicked off her heels at the door, called out, "Hey, babe, dinner in or out?" I stared at her. She peeled an orange like nothing had shifted. I said nothing. She kissed me on the temple. "I missed you today." And just like that, the receipt didn't feel like a mistake anymore. It felt like a map. And I was already following it. We met at a weekend finance workshop in Austin, one of those overpriced events where half the people are selling something and the other half are hopping not to drown in their own student debt. She sat next to me on day 2. Red notebook, white blazer, no ring. The first thing she said to me was, "You look like someone who never buys the pitch." I remember blinking, then laughing once under my breath. "That cause I've heard too many." She smirked, "You'll hear mine by lunch." And I did. She pitched herself like a brand, polished, sharp, already in motion. Said she wanted to build something real, something lasting, something that didn't need permission. I was a numbers guy, clean models, calculated risk. She was instinct and spark, talked like she'd already seen the future and was just choosing the color palette. 6 months later, we signed a lease. A 2-bedroom and a mid-rise, just outside downtown. She picked the art, I handled the insurance. We split the bills, but she always left her card at the table when we ate out, like she had something to prove. I didn't mind, I liked that fire in her. She hated clutter, said it clogged energy. So I boxed up old books, stored away my chessboard. She said it made the place feel lighter. I didn't argue, thought that was love choosing comfort over nostalgia. She made vision boards for everything. One for our future home, cedar wood, open kitchen. One for vacations, Greece, then Japan. And one for legacy, a black and gold poster that just said, "We build what they can't take." We talk about kids sometimes. She always said, "If it happens, it happens." But she smiled when I mentioned names. When my dad passed, she was the one who called the airline, held my hand through probate. She cried with me in the lawyer's office. Said, "This money isn't just money. It's what he left behind so you could breathe." It wasn't a windfall. It was what my father worked 40 years for. 7-day weeks, ignored chest pains, delayed retirement. $480,000. When I told her the final number, she touched my chest and said, "We'll build our future with this, the real one." I believed her. I moved the funds into our joint investment account. I still had primary control, technically, but she managed the day-to-day. She made spreadsheets, ran projections, sent me updates with emojis in the subject line. Subject, Rocket, let's grow this legacy. I printed that one out and kept it in my drawer. It felt like proof of love, of partnership. She used to say, "What we build will outlive every betrayal." Funny how a sentence like that doesn't land until much later. It's not just what someone says, it's when they say it. And why? It started with leather swatches on the kitchen counter. Brown slate navy. She said it was for a client, someone launching a high-end accessories line. She picked one up, held it to the light. "This one's masculine but not boring." I told him it'd pair well with raw concrete and brushed brass. I remember staring at her hands, how sure they were. Then I glanced at our dining chairs, soft beige linen. She never liked concrete. She called the project fun, but never mentioned a name. Said he wanted to stay anonymous for now. I didn't push. The next week, I asked if she wanted to go to the farmer's market on Saturday like we used to. She hesitated. I promised I'd meet with him. He's finalizing samples. I need to help." Him again. Still no name. That night, she switched up the password on our joint account. I asked her why. She was brushing her teeth, mouth half full of foam. "Just smart, 2 factors annoying. I'll text you the code if you need it." She never did. And I didn't ask again. I started keeping small notes. Nothing crazy, just details. The missing scarf, a new phone charger that wasn't mine, the way she started locking her laptop even if she just walked into the kitchen. I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and see the blue glow under the bedroom door. She said she was watching TED Talks, but the audio was always off. Then came the bag. Designer, clean stitching, perfect symmetry, the kind of detail even counterfeits mess up. I asked where it came from. She waved it off. "Fake, got it from a vendor on Instagram, $80. Looks real though, right?" She didn't meet my eyes. She always met my eyes. A few days later, I came home early from a client dinner. The hallway smelled like fresh paint and something sweet, like her perfume, but not the one I bought her. She was in the office, door cracked. I heard her say, "He'll never know. It's all under LLC." Then laughter, low, comfortable. My name wasn't mentioned, but I didn't need it to be. I walked into the kitchen, opened a beer, sat at the island. When she came out, she acted like she didn't know I'd heard anything. Kissed me on the cheek. Asked if I wanted Thai or pizza. I said Thai. She ordered pizza. That night, I pulled out a notebook and started writing everything down. Dates, numbers, words, the smell of her perfume, the way her laugh changed softer, not sharp like it used to be with me. There's a kind of gaslight that doesn't need yelling. It just makes you question your own memory. She'd say things like, "You're imagining stuff again. I told you that already, you just forgot. You're being weird." And she'd say it while smiling, like I was adorable for losing track. But I was. I was tracking everything. Because something was off, not just her mood, the whole rhythm of our life. She used to hum when she cooked, that stopped. Used to leave her slippers in the hallway, now she kept them hidden in the closet. It was like she didn't want me to know she lived here. Or maybe she was already living somewhere else. In her head. One night she fell asleep with her phone in her hand. A notification flashed, "New comment on your boutique preview." Preview. I didn't touch her phone, but I opened mine. Typed boutique launch into Instagram. Scrolled. And there it was. A private profile, 112 followers, one post. A soft focus image of leather-bound notebooks, brass fixtures, and a woman's hand adjusting a display. Her hand, her ring. Caption: co-founder moments. Can't wait to share this with you all. I tapped the profile picture. The other co-founder, his face tagged. Smiling, confident, arms slung around her waist like he'd been practicing. The account bio read, "Curated masculinity, boutique culture, built by real ones." That was when I knew. This wasn't about a client. It was a new life. And I wasn't in it. The boutique launched on a Friday. Not a grand opening, a soft launch, invite only. I found out because she left the invite on the console table, half tucked under a Pottery Barn catalog. White cardstock, black foil letters, no logo, just coordinates and time. I asked her if she wanted me to come. She blinked at me. "It's not like that, just investors and press people, you'd be bored." I nodded. Inside, something caved. The night before, she stayed up folding linen tags, said she needed silence. I offered to help. She didn't look up, just said, "It's already done." Next day she left at 2:00 p.m. High-waisted pants, that white jumpsuit I'd never seen before. Hair up, a new kind of lipstick, the kind that doesn't kiss off. She didn't say goodbye. I sat in the living room for 15 minutes after the door shut. Didn't move, didn't blink. Then I grabbed my jacket, keys, and went out the back. I parked across from the showroom, 2 spaces down from a meter that expired an hour ago. Didn't feed it, didn't care. The showroom was all glass, modern, industrial, curated to death. Inside, she stood near a brass rack of minimalist leather jackets, talking to a tall guy in a black shirt with rolled sleeves. He reached for her waist, barely, just fingertips, but she didn't move. They posed for a photo together. She adjusted his collar before they smiled. He whispered something in her ear. She laughed. Not her old laugh, this one was smoother, practiced. The same one she used with my friends when she needed something. And then she pulled out a key. Not just any key, a branded one, engraved, boutique style. He held the door open. She unlocked it. I didn't realize I was holding my breath until the cold air stung my throat. I didn't go inside, didn't make a scene. Just sat there and watched until the light changed and shadows stretched across the sidewalk. Then I drove home in silence. Her calendar was still synced to our shared cloud. That night, while she was still out, I opened her laptop. Typed in the password she hadn't changed yet. There it was. A folder named Q4 Boutique. Inside, wire transfer receipts, investment agreements, a photo of the 2 of them standing in front of a mock-up that said, "Rain elevated, masculine, yours." My name wasn't anywhere. But my money was. $178,000. Spread across 6 payments, routed through a shell LLC she'd set up 9 months ago. I clicked through the docs, found the articles of incorporation. Her signature is underneath. No mention of me, not even as a silent partner. Just erased. I closed the laptop, sat back, and looked at the framed photo above our bookshelf. Us in Portugal, her head on my shoulder, sunset. That was 3 years ago. I remember thinking, we'll never be the kind of couple that hides things. Turns out we were. I was just the kind of man who never thought to look. That night she came home around midnight. Tossed her heels in the corner. "I'm wiped," she said. "Launch went great, you'd have hated it." She leaned down to kiss me. I didn't move. She paused, something wrong. I looked at her, really looked. The necklace she wore, gold with a small black square pendant. I'd seen it in the photo on the boutique's Instagram. She wore it the day he tagged her. I said no, just tired. She smiled, turned away. As she walked down the hallway, I heard her hum. Low, tuneless, but familiar. She used to hum like that when she was happy. Now it sounded like a song meant for someone else. The next morning, I called the lawyer who handled my father's trust. His name was Arnold. Dry voice, precise, the kind of man who never forgot punctuation. He asked if I wanted to make a change to my beneficiary structure. I said no, I want to understand the recovery clause. There was a long pause. Then he said, "Interesting." I told him I had reason to believe a significant portion of my inheritance had been reallocated outside the terms of our marriage. He asked for documentation. I told him I had copies. He asked if she knew. I said not yet. Then he said something that stayed with me. "She won't until it's too late. That's how these things work." I didn't eat that day. Didn't answer her texts. She sent me a photo of a dog bed for when we finally get a puppy. I stared at it for a while, then deleted it. That night I sat on the balcony, cold beer in hand, and just watched the lights flicker in the city she thought she owned. It was almost beautiful. How easy it was to let the truth settle quietly. To let her hang herself with her own ambition. I didn't need a confrontation. I needed a plan. The next morning, she made coffee like nothing had shifted. She wore one of my old college sweatshirts, the one she used to say smelled like safety. I watched her stir oat milk into her mug, humming that same soft tune. She looked up, smiled. "What?" "Nothing," I said, "thinking about reallocating some things. The market feels unstable." She nodded, distracted. "Good idea, let's stay liquid." "We." That word used to mean something. Now it just floated. I waited 2 more days. Then I moved $110,000 out of our joint account and into a solo custodial account under my name, protected by the trust. Technically, I didn't even need her permission. She never noticed. She was too busy coordinating brand collabs, or whatever she was calling stolen time now. She stopped cooking, started bringing home takeout boxes with 2 forks, but only one looked used. I moved slow, always slow. Split off our auto-pay bills. Removed my name from the shared Amex she'd started using like it had no limit. She didn't say a word. Didn't ask why Spotify logged her out, or why the Hulu profile we shared was gone. She was preoccupied with launch content, investor leads, and design tweaks for the men's line. One night I stood in the hallway, looking at the photo from our wedding reception, the one where we're laughing under the string lights, her hand in mine. I took it down. Not dramatically, not loud. Just wrapped it in a towel and slid it into the linen closet. She never asked where it went. That's when I knew I could disappear in pieces. I met with Arnold in person. He laid everything out on polished walnut. the recovery clause in the trust, the violation threshold, the asset freeze protocol, all airtight, all waiting for a single mistake, which she'd already made. The LLC was her name, her signature, her coordination. Every dollar she pulled from the trust-backed account had a breadcrumb attached. I had proof, I had time, I had silence. And that was the sharpest blade. She still kissed me goodbye in the mornings. Still wore my t-shirts to bed. Still said sleep good, like we were on the same page. I stopped responding. Just nodded. One night, she left her phone face up on the counter while she showered. A message preview popped up. He's pulling away, might be time. I took a photo of the screen. Didn't open it, didn't scroll. Just documented. Like a detective building a case against a suspect who still cooked in your kitchen. I changed the code to the fireproof safe. Inside it was the folder. Receipt timeline screenshots. LLC documents. She never asked to see it. Never even remembered we had one. She once said, "You're always 5 steps ahead, that's why I trust you." She meant it as a compliment. I took it as permission. Then came the quietest move. I removed her access to the tax prep software. Said we'd review things together this year. She agreed. Didn't even look up from her phone. She thought I was checking out. But I was. I was checking everything. Every dollar, every signature. Every moment she stopped being my partner and became something else. She'd whisper on the phone late at night, laugh through the wall, drop phrases like "after the expansion." I made no sound. I just adjusted. Moved lines. Shifted weight. Like preparing a house for a controlled demolition. The foundation still looked solid from the street. But underneath, hollow beams and loose nails. All I had to do was wait for the right match. And she would light it herself. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. Cream envelope, heavy paper, no return address. She opened it while sipping her smoothie, thumb swiping her phone at the same time. At first, I don't think she processed what it was. Just skimmed the first few lines like she always did with contracts, trusting someone else had handled the hard part. Then she froze. I watched her read it again slower. Her lips moved. Her smoothie started dripping down the side of the glass. I kept rinsing a bowl in the sink, like it was any other morning. "What is this?" she asked, voice tight. I didn't look up. "From the trust." She blinked. "What trust?" "Mine," I said. "You've been spending from it." She stepped forward. "No, I didn't. That's our joint account." I turned off the water, dried my hands. It was funded by my inheritance, which is protected under the fiduciary clause. It's not marital property once it's misused. She laughed, but it cracked. "You're kidding, this is ridiculous, you said." I said we'd build a future together. She held up the letter. "They're freezing the boutique's funds. They're citing misappropriation. That'll kill the business." I met her eyes. "You already did." She started packing. "I didn't steal. I invested in something that could help us both. That's not theft." "You didn't disclose it. You didn't get consent. You moved funds through an LLC in your name with someone else listed as co-owner. You used protected money to launch a business behind my back." Her breathing picked up. "You set me up." "No," I said quietly. "You just didn't read the paperwork." She sat down slowly, like her knees had stopped working. "What does this mean legally?" I slid the folder across the table. Receipts timeline, wire transfers, his name, her signature. Cover page, violation and recovery. She didn't speak for almost 5 minutes. Just flipped through the pages while her smoothie warmed to room temp. Then she whispered, "He said it was fine, that it wouldn't matter." I didn't need to ask who he was. She looked up. How long have you known? Long enough to get it in writing. She shook her head. This is cold. No, I said, it's clarity. The boutique account was frozen that Friday. All investor funds flagged pending legal review. She tried to call the bank, then the accountant. But the filings were airtight. Arnold had seen to that. She showed up at my office the next Monday, makeup light, eyes red. I just need to talk to you, not the lawyers, please. I walked her to the conference room, sat across the table. She pushed a photo toward me, one of us in Portugal, the same one I'd hidden weeks ago. I never stopped loving you, she said. I looked down at it, then back up. You just started loving someone else's future more. She didn't cry. Not then. Just quietly placed the photo back in her purse. I thought you'd forgive me, she whispered, like always. I stood. Forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting, and I remember everything. The boutique's Instagram went dark in 3 days. The co-founder unfollowed her in 5. The lease was terminated by the end of the month. She moved into a short-term rental 2 towns over. Said she needed space to heal. I didn't answer her messages. Didn't block her either. She called me cold. I called it clean. That was the difference between us. She acted like things could be fixed if you just didn't name them. But I'd named everything. Every scent, every lie, every silence. And now I was the one who didn't need permission. She thought power was loud. Turns out it's quiet. It sits across the table and says, "This folder is yours." And then it walks out of the room. She moved out while I was in San Diego. Didn't tell me the date. Just sent a text that said, "I'll be out by Friday. I'll leave the key where we always do." The ceramic bowl by the door. She used to call it the little catch-all. Funny how that's where everything ended up, the keys, the spare ring, the last word. When I came home, the place didn't feel empty. It felt clean. Lighter. Not because she'd taken much. She left most of the furniture, even the bed. Just cleared her side of the closet and all the things that made noise. Hairdryer, curling wand, Bluetooth speaker. The silence hit different. It didn't echo. It settled. I opened the closet just once that first night. Only one hanger remained on her side, the one that used to hold her favorite trench coat. I didn't take it down. Just closed the door. She sent one more text 2 days later. I hope you'll remember the good parts. No punctuation. Like it was supposed to feel casual, like closure could come in lowercase. I didn't reply. She tried once more, a week later. An email titled, "Just a Thought." I archived it without opening. She'd been stripped of the boutique, the funds, and whatever fantasy she thought could survive built on borrowed money and unspoken betrayal. I saw a listing online, one of those resale sites for luxury goods. She was selling her bags, the designer ones she once called investments. Each description was carefully worded, lightly used, handled with love. I knew that tone. She used to speak to me like that. Like everything was gently worn, but still full of value. I followed the boutique's Instagram just once, from a burner. The last post was a photo of a brass key and a caption that read, "Beginnings take courage, endings teach wisdom." It hadn't been updated since the freeze. Her co-founder wiped all trace of her from his profile. Every tag, every photo gone. He moved on to something new, same aesthetic, different name. I didn't block her. I didn't need to. The power wasn't in cutting her off. It was in knowing she could still see me, steady, quiet, untouched. Some nights, I'd sit on the balcony with a glass of whiskey, just letting the wind carry old noise away. She once said I was too calm during conflict. But I wasn't calm. I was clear, and now she had to live in the space that silence left behind. Because I wasn't chasing explanations. I wasn't posting vague quotes or sending late-night paragraphs. I was just done. And sometimes that's the loudest sound in the world. I never hated her. People assume I must have after what she did. But it wasn't hate. It was more like watching a tree rot from the inside and realizing you ignored the termites because the leaves still looked green. She wasn't evil, just incapable of staying where love felt quiet. She needed friction, applause, the constant thrill of proving herself, even if it meant rewriting the story halfway through. She used to say, "I'm not like other women, I build." And she did. But not with me. She built exit plans, built a boutique, built stories that unraveled the moment someone actually paid attention. For a long time, I wondered what I could have done differently. More passion, more praise, more control. But the truth is, the moment she found someone who made her feel like the main character, I became background. Not a partner, a placeholder. And placeholders don't get closure. They get folders. And silence. I kept the final email she sent. Never opened it, never deleted it. I think she wanted me to say something, to give her the drama, the explosion, the monologue that would validate her as a victim. But I didn't. I just lived. A little quieter. A little sharper. I still use the same bank, same apartment, same mug she once said looked too plain. Because it's not the mug. It's the man who holds it steady. I don't tell this story for revenge. Not really. I tell it because someone out there is sitting in a quiet kitchen, wondering if they're going crazy. You're not. You're just being slowly rewritten. And the moment you pick up the pen, everything shifts. That was the last gift she gave me, without meaning to. She called me cold. I call it clarity. This is Revenge with Camden. If you've ever been betrayed by the person you trusted most, hit subscribe. You're not alone.